All right, guys, we're live. The first remote Bullshirt podcast.
COVID version.
The COVID cast. COVID, the C is for cast.
We could probably come up with an acronym for that. Rich is not here because he's a sumbitch. I don't know where the fuck he's at, what he's doing. I assume he's having technical difficulties. Living in 1987.
He has to dial in.
Those goddamn rotary phones are rough for getting into podcasts.
He was trying to get in, and then his wife made a phone call.
Had to set up call wave.
Well, like everyone else in America right now, we're all pretty much on lockdown, housebound. So we found an alternative to where we can still put the podcast out and not be swapping each other's germs. So
I was wondering where you were going to go with that.
Well, there's other ways to swap germs. I could, unzip my pants.
Mark.
Yeah, Mark. Here we go with that. It started already. Let's see. Yeah, this is interesting. We're using Zencastr, which so far has been pretty damn impressive with its quality and controls. So that has made it easier.
Yeah, it sounds really good.
I'm impressed with it, and it's easy to use. So, and we're not even getting paid by them, but they are offering free, not free accounts, but they've lifted a lot of their limits between what they call hobbyist account and their pro account in wake of the COVID-19 everybody stay at home thing. So I guess we are benefiting from that. So I'll give them some props. It's a neat system. So
this podcast, quite literally, brought to you by Zencastr.
Yeah, right. And that's not even a plug. That's just a fact. So, we've got Skype running in the background with video, so we can see each other's pretty faces.
Doug, quit pointing your camera at your crotch.
I just assumed that was Doug. Oh, you what you just did. Yeah, there we go. Unzip your pants.
Yeah. So, under weird shit that might not have gotten any attention otherwise, I think this whole Tiger King thing on Netflix lies at the intersection of I've watched every fucking thing on Netflix and Jesus Christ, this is a redneck train wreck.
Well, it shoved it in your face. Like, it's one of those that got a lot of Netflix promo. Like, as soon as you started Netflix, it's like, you want to watch this? Hey. Do you want to watch this? Hey.
Well, most of the time Netflix does that with whenever their new stuff comes out. So the whole Tiger King thing hit the same time the COVID lockdown started going into a place. And
no shit.
One right? led to the other. But I'll tell you, I was raised in Alabama, and it was weird watching that particular special because it reminded me of so many fucking rednecks from back home. And it seems like to be involved in the tiger community, you've got to be that giant douchebag that nobody would want to be friends with. So you have to get that added factor, like those assholes that'll show up to like a fucking Starbucks and they got a parrot on their shoulder, or they're toting a fucking monkey,
something. And a MacBook.
Yeah.
Don't forget the MacBook.
Yeah, don't forget the MacBook. Yeah.
Oh, the hateful emails I'm going to get.
But, something to have that conversation starter. Ooh, look at me. I'm fucking cool. Because every last one of those people, they just need to drown them immediately,
Well, and I think that's what that show is kind of falsely propagating too. I mean, there's, I was reading the other day that the majority of the animals featured in that special are housed in Colorado now. There's about an hour from Denver, I think, maybe. There's a wildlife refuge, and they took in a bunch of the tigers from that. So I think that there are folks that have got a little, common decency and sense about them that are in that genre, industry, whatever.
But
like
they don't make
everything
good
else,
TV.
exactly. But that would be boring if they're like, yeah, I pay my bills, I bathe, and I try not to get into any drama. Okay, well, there was season 1. So, I remember when all that shit went down with that guy. And I remember thinking, wow, what a piece of shit then. And I try real hard and I preach to other folks, don't make stupid people famous. I am so fucking sick of stupid people getting famous. And it's too late. This motherfucker is famous now, more so than he ever was. Good
Hell
for
yeah.
him. And for all the wrong fucking reasons. I refuse to watch that show. I don't even want to call it a fucking documentary because
I promise you it's good.
no, it's not.
It's really good.
Okay, let me impart this. I am a sick fuck. Let's go ahead and get that out right here.
I assume you're telling people who may not know you and are listening because.
Oh yes,
Right.
yeah. I mean
wow.
that's almost like saying, "Hey, my name is Doug." But anyway,
kind of what I was thinking.
But regardless of that, my favorite part in the whole 7-hour episode of the thing is at one point, one of his husbands, because he's a gay polygamist, one of his husbands, after one of them has already left, is talking to his campaign manager and is brandishing a gun about, and he's he's out of camera. You can't see him, so you can only see the campaign manager. And he's sitting there, and apparently he points the gun at the campaign manager, and the campaign manager says, "Hey, don't do that. That's not cool," or something terribly close. And the guy is an idiot, and he says, "Man, this is a Ruger. A Ruger won't even fire without the magazine in it. Look." And then he holds it up to his head, pulls the trigger, and blows his own brains out. And the only thing that you see from this is the campaign manager sitting there, and he immediately gets a look of shock on his face after you see a flash off screen. And I swear to God, the motherfucker does the Home Alone face. He holds both of his palms up to his hand, up to his head, and opens his mouth wide open. And I fucking lost it right there.
They have a response. They have a very perfect response for that. And it's one word, and it's Darwin.
Yeah,
that's all I got to say is Darwin.
That was my favorite part in the whole damn thing.
I'm sorry, I have a low threshold of sympathy to stupidity. Right? I feel bad for people when bad shit happens to them. I do, and I feel bad for people when things don't go the way they expected. And hell, I've done some stupid shit, right? I can't, overwhelmed by memories. I've done a lot of stupid shit, right? But I have never expected sympathy when I do stupid shit, right? I do like a little bit of sympathy when bad shit happens to me. Someone say, "Hey, Dan, are you okay? Are you all right? Is everything, is there anything I can do?" And I try to do the same thing. But when people do things that are just egregiously stupid, like I'm not saying, a guy, hey, we've all got buddies, male, female, that have dated the wrong people. And maybe you told them, hey, this person's not good for you, whatever. And they did it anyway. And they got their heart broke and their bank accounts emptied and everything else. I still have sympathy for
transmitted disease
at minimum. I still feel sympathy for those people, though, because we all get caught up in stuff like that. But I'm sorry, putting a loaded gun to your fucking head and pulling the trigger.
Dude,
sorry.
I have to say, it was morbid, but it was pretty funny when they set up a memorial. They set this memorial up for him, and all it was like a side-by-side four-wheeler on some rocks. And that was like the display, and it had his name on this piece of wood all crooked. they're like, yeah, this is where we come and remember him. And I'm like,
to each their own, right? Everybody's got a different way to mourn. And, in those situations, who I feel bad for? I feel bad for the people that are impacted by his stupid fucking decision, right? I don't feel bad for him. The gene pool got cleansed a little that day. It's the people that because killing yourself or being killed, dying, prematurely without any sort of warning, that hurts a lot of people. And there were people that cared about this guy, I'm sure, right? Those are the folks I feel bad for. So, if you're going to go do something fucking stupid, try to think of the people that you're leaving behind, and it might be detrimental to their world for you to put a.
That's some higher level thinking that I don't think everybody is capable of.
Brother, I'm starting to think that very few fucking people are capable of it, man. I'm becoming more arrogant about my ability to reason every day. Was Charles Bukowski said, the problem with the world is that stupid people are full of confidence, while intelligent people are full of self-doubt. Now, I'm not a huge Bukowski fan. I think a lot of his shit is way overrated. I think he was overrated. But
he's edgy and depressed.
Edgy and depressed, right, which overrated.
That's the millennial thing, though.
It's and that it does seem like it's the younger generations that have really kind of elevated him and the guy that they did Fear and Loathing, the hell was his name?
Hunter S. Thompson.
Hunter S. Thompson, yeah, he's another one. I'm like, okay. I mean,
he was famous for doing drugs.
At best, his writing was barely average, in my opinion. But
listen, he was on
I
drugs.
also hate Kiss and the Beatles. When he, don't fucking take my advice or my opinion to mean shit. But yeah, it's I do believe that is one of Bukowski's quotes that I've always really liked. He's got another one about how can anybody enjoy their life when they have to get up at the butt crack of dawn, shit, shower, and shave, and go spend 8 to 10 hours working to make somebody else rich. So he had some good ones, but the stupid confidence quote is fucking proven to me every day, right? You meet these people that are, air quotes, successful, and you hear them talk and you go, the fuck. So, and I think it boils down to just sometimes going out and doing it, remembering that perfect is the enemy of better. Doug has the policy, that the -ER. It's not always about, going out and running 100 miles a day and not eating carbs, etc. But you could eat better, right? You could be a little healthier, make some smart choices and smart decisions. And I have kind of subscribed to that myself over the years. Part of OCD is being a bit of a perfectionist, and people, when they hear that term perfectionist, it's funny because their first reaction is usually, oh, you think you're perfect. You think everything you do is perfect. Oh no, quite the opposite, actually. As a perfectionist, you don't think anything you do is good enough, because if it's not perfect, then it's not even worth doing. Right. So I'm not sure what Adam is doing right now. He's got something stuck on his nose. It really doesn't seem to make any. Is that some sort of like sex toy? Is that what?
No, it's to stop nosebleeds.
Oh, that's okay. Wow. Somebody made a lot of money inventing that, designing that. It's a little foamy nose clamp.
Hell yeah, that's awesome.
Do you get a lot of nosebleeds?
I do since we moved to down south of Denver. I don't know why I didn't get them when I first moved to Colorado, but since we moved south, I get a lot of nosebleeds now.
That's curious.
Probably because the air is shitty down here.
That could be. We're a little closer to downtown Denver than we were before. Wind patterns.
Right. Shit out here for people that don't know any better. When the smoke finally clears on this whole pandemic, anybody that comes out to Denver, one thing that kind of shocked me because I had always heard about Denver being the mile high city. I assumed, that was the biggest thing around. And shit, Denver's actually one of the lowest points in the Denver metro area. Everything else is higher elevation. And because we have the mountains to the west of us, and generally the weather patterns follow the jet stream, which goes from west to east, that tends to make a lot more rain on the west side of the mountains versus the east side of the mountains. So it kind of dries the air out. So it's like living in a high desert in more ways than one.
Right. I was going to say, if you didn't make the joke, I was going to.
Living high in the desert.
Yeah, I didn't know Denver was the lowest point, but it does make sense actually when you think about the foothills, Flatiron. The fact that the joke is, and I think there might even be some truth to it, is that settlers were heading to California, gold rush and all that, and after nasty winters and traveling and God knows what else, they got to those mountains and someone just said, "Nah, fuck it, nah."
Yeah, fuck those mountains. We'll settle right
We
here.
done. Boom, Denver, perfect. I like it out here. I really do. I've lived in five states over roughly the last 10 or 11 years. Ohio, Alabama, Florida, North Carolina, now Colorado. And I really do like Colorado, being a tourist area, which make no mistake, it is a tourist area. It has some drawbacks. You tend to cater to them. But even when I lived in Florida, I lived in Naples, which is South Florida. As a matter of fact, I think it is the southmost.
Well, you lived in Italy?
Yes, I did. I'm actually impressed that that Naples, Italy, is where that was named after. That's impressive. So yeah. I thought you were just busy getting crunk and no cap. So
no cap, son. You know how I do.
Just keep hunting.
Yeah, throw a little shout out there for Rich. No cap.
No cap.
It was more what they called blue hares. Or snowbirds, right? In the wintertime, folks from up north that were affluent and had money would go down to Naples and live there for a few months, and then when summer would hit, and it was South Florida in the summer, and their delicate little systems couldn't handle that, they'd go back up north, and it was bizarre, man, because in the winter you couldn't get into a restaurant, traffic was insane. And then, because I moved down there in February, I think, or somewhere in that realm, January, February, and it was really crowded. And everybody says, "Oh, just wait till summer hits," right? And so summer hits, and the place is a ghost town. It's wild. What's interesting is my mom lived in Florida for many, many years. I think they lived in Tampa, and I was sending her pictures and stuff, and she was cracking up because she said she remembers when Naples was nothing, when it was mangrove trees and dirt roads. And all the people from the Tampa area would go down there in the summertime because you couldn't get to the beaches in Tampa because of all the snowbirds and everything and the vacationers. So the natives, or not natives, but the residents would go down to Naples and hang out down there because they have white sand beaches. And it is gorgeous down there, but it's Alex Lifeson from Rush had a house down there. Judge Judy. I actually, buddy of mine sent me pictures of Judge Judy sitting at a pizza shop. He's like, "Dude, is that fucking Judge Judy?" And I texted back. I was like, "That is totally fucking Judy, man." So,
dude, that's Judy.
Which I'm sure Adam right about now would say, "She's so fucking hot."
Dude, she is, dude.
I'm gonna start calling you Oedipus Rex. I think even Steven Spielberg has a house down there. So, and my point is that you can see the affluence, right? There's a ton of fucking money down there. I was not a fan of Naples. I loved the people I worked with. The women that I worked with at the insurance company were fucking awesome. I still keep up with most of them today. They were just really good fucking people, and I still love the hell out of all of them. But the area itself, I was not a huge fan of. because of that. But we definitely live in a tourist area out here, and the mountains and whatnot. And it gets a little funny. I was out on the bike last year, having a bad day like people do, and kind of feeling sorry for myself. And all of a sudden I realized that, I'm cruising around on a Harley Davidson in the Rocky Mountains, which at the time when we were up north took me about 15 minutes to get into the mountains. And there was a sudden reality check. It's like I'm cruising around up in the mountains where people pay a lot of money to come out here and vacation, and it's in my fucking backyard. So you got to put that into perspective. And Estes I still love going up there. Estes. I'm sorry. A friend of mine corrected me. She said, it's not Testes, Dan. It's Estes. So Testes Park.
It's a proper noun. You can say however the fuck you want to say it.
Hell yeah. Getting all
it's not a real fucking word.
Bibliotechnical on people.
Well, earlier on in the podcast, well, not this particular podcast, but in previous versions, if you care to go back, we had given South Korea a little bit of crap for spreading coronavirus through one of their larger churches in the area. But I tell you one thing, I would much rather be in South Korea right now. Those guys had their act together. I've been following the news since then. And South Korea acted like every pandemic movie that you've ever seen. As soon as they realized that they had a problem, they started wide-scale testing immediately. Whereas ours are ramping up, and we were way behind the curve. South Korea was not behind the curve for very long. They implemented a program of mass testing in areas based on the results that they were getting. They instituted lockdowns strategically. They didn't just lock down the entire country. They locked down strategic areas while they were doing testing. Citizens were downloading apps on their phone directly so the government could track movements.
Hell yeah.
So they ran it like every pandemic movie that you've ever seen. And while they haven't got it totally stamped out, they've got a better handle on it than pretty much anybody outside of China does. So you take a look at Italy, you take a look at France. That was their own shit show. We're in the version of that now, to where if we would have started testing a lot earlier, we wouldn't have had to basically give our own economy the fucking guillotine. But that's, at the top, we were just told, oh, this isn't a big deal. This is just going to kind of be like the flu. They had issues with tests that they were sending out in the beginning because we couldn't adopt, tests that were already in place. No, we had to develop our own. So we had that development time in there. And it's basically for the United States. We're going to see what happens in a couple of weeks as far as the numbers, but the numbers are not indicative of what's actually going on with the coronavirus right now, because we do not have mass scale testing in place. And we're not going to for quite some time. And we keep hearing conflicting information from the top saying, everybody that wants a test can get a test. And meanwhile, the facts on the ground totally disprove that. So
yeah,
I would like to say, go South Korea.
StarCraft and COVID testing. It's fucking perfect, right? These guys have a lot of good things in my life.
Well, they reacted a lot faster because their reaction time is so much better.
From StarCraft, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Actions per minute. Insane.
Yeah.
I am absolutely disgusted with the US's response. I'm not going to get too deep into politics because Jesus Christ, I can't escape it. Right? People have even made COVID political. I guess to some degree, I'm about to, but it does show that leadership, and I don't mean just Trump. I'm not Trump bashing. I mean just across the board. It shows that I think the U.S. especially, we live in this little bubble where we're almost like spoiled children. The U.S., other than, in my lifetime, other than maybe like 9/11, there haven't been any very serious issues that people have had to deal with. It's not like I talked to my parents and my grandparents, and they talked about World War II and the things that they went through during World War II. And I think that we are seeing a small amount of that, right? They went into like true, honest to God rationing and things like that. And now what I see, I call it panic light. What I mean by that is that this is not an airborne hemorrhagic fever that that your brain melts out of your head. Speaking of disaster movies or apocalypse type movies, Contagion from 2011, phenomenal movie. And if you watch it now, it's actually kind of eerie how well it predicted the way that people were going to react. Keep in mind that they had what do you call it? Yeah.
Good one.
Got him.
Point.
Got him. Yeah, I got him.
Got those facts right on the fucking tip of your tongue, huh?
Yeah, right.
Just go ahead and stop right there. Unzip your pants.
Unzip my pants. Let me unzip my pants and let the real fucking brain out, the one that does most of my thinking for me. Anyway, they had a consultant. Jeez Louise.
Wow.
They had a consultant.
I was counting. That was like 2 minutes.
Yeah, to get the word consultant out of my fucking head. You're talking, this is from a guy who never stops fucking talking. You'd think that my brain would work faster than that. There was a consultant, and I can't remember his name. I'm kind of half looking it up here online, but he is I think a virologist, and guy's incredibly intelligent. And of course they're hitting him up now. And he was a consultant for that film, which explains why it is so eerily accurate, all the way to people trying to make a profit off of the tragedy. So I highly recommend that film. It was 2011 Contagion. It's got Matt Damon, Gwyneth Paltrow, and it's really cool. And as it goes through, it kind of explains things. But it kind of even forecasted that we wouldn't be prepared. I've gotten into. I told Adam yesterday. What was his name?
Ian Lipkin.
That sounds right. Yeah, he's a virologist out in like San Diego or somewhere, I think, and was the consultant for that flick. And it's like I said, I think everyone should watch it. It predicted a lot of really creepy things that are already happening. And again, it is an airborne hemorrhagic fever, and people's brains are melting. So they take it a little, maybe one step further than COVID. But again, it's for impact, right? It's for the interest. It's
scary if it doesn't kill you. It just
If everyone just had the flu and killed a few people. Right, yeah. Exactly. It's not gonna, they gotta ramp that up. And I told Adam the other day, I make a huge mistake in that I read comments on stories and things on social media, and it has shown me just how fucking stupid people really are. Doug and I, this is another thing that Doug has kind of brought to my attention that I've subscribed to, and it's sort of the Goldilocks principle, right? In that his is a little bit different, right? He calls like his Goldilocks job, that perfect job would be this or that, or a Goldilocks scenario would be, this or that. For me, I took that and kind of changed it a little bit, and it's just how I view the world. And I view it from a Goldilocks perspective. Far left, far right, too soft, too hard, too cold, too hot. I try to stay right in the middle of everything, right? Because I just think that's how life is. Life is not black and white, but at least very few of the decisions I've ever had to make were black and white. I think if they were, it'd make my life a lot easier. But it seems like when I read the comments, people are going from this ain't nothing, it's no big deal, to Jesus, I'm hiding under my bed hyperventilating, right? And again, I was looking up some facts about like car accidents in 2019 versus COVID deaths. And I think according to what I'm seeing, COVID deaths are somewhere around like, I can't even find it now, but in 2019, roughly 40,000 people lost their lives to car crashes, right? But you don't stop driving. You use common sense precautions. You do the speed limit. You keep your vehicle maintained. You wear seatbelts, et cetera, et cetera. That's all I think people need to do right now. I've said before, I'm a 2A supporter. I'm kind of anti-Fed. I'm not a big fan of big government. I'm seeing a lot of cries for socialism right now that freak me out a little bit, to be completely straight. They should just shut everything down and the government should take care of us while and I'm just like, whoa, pump the brakes.
I think we should take notes from the Philippines president and just start killing people who leave their homes.
Yeah. See, there's that other side of it, right? It's gotten it's just gotten a little bit creepy. But
the thing is, he's full of shit. Like, he's not going to enforce that. Like, way back, like multiple years ago, he agreed with Canada that they could pay him and then they could drop all their trash off in the Philippines. And then the public started getting pissed about it like last year, and he said he was going to officially wage war with Canada if they didn't come take their trash back. Guess what never happened? 1, Canada's never came and got their fucking trash, and 2, war never got waged, because I think the Philippines army consists of 2 tugboats.
The Canada-Philippine conflict, as we all know, and the lives lost from that. It's. I think the problem is just this. Again,
tribalism, dude.
It really is. That's exactly what it is.
It's tribal identity.
Petrifying. This is panic light.
Go ahead. This is why I'm an independent. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I tend to lead toward the policy that makes the most common sense, not that makes the best soundbite. And the biggest thing is these tribal identities, they become almost a belief system. Conservatives, liberals, it's and even amongst racial groups, that a tribal identity, you tend to cling to those as if they're a belief system. And if you do a lot of research, the closer something is to becoming a belief, the less it has to be backed by facts. And the harder you try to pull someone away from those beliefs, the harder they will actually cling to them. And all of us have seen that in Facebook discussions over and over and over, to where you've got something, you'll have a fact-checked news article. And this fact-checked news article by somebody like the AP, the Associated Press, and they will demonstrate where this thing happened, and you will have someone that denies it happening. And it's like, here's the pictures, here's the dates, here's the times, here's the everything. This person's fucking lying about whatever. And you will have someone, because that person shares their tribal identity and their belief system, will immediately adopt fake news,
some sort of counter argument.
Right. Oh yeah, that's all just bullshit. They made that stuff up digitally because it conflicts with my belief system, and that's not exclusive to the Republicans. It's not exclusive to Democrats.
No.
Although I should think Trump has practically trademarked that shit, but because that's what he spouts all the time. And the first step in a great disinformation campaign is for you to become the only source of truth. And if you have someone that has effectively followers in this belief system and tells you, oh, everything, all these news sources, the media, and everything else telling you it's all wrong. Let's see here. Can you hear me? Sorry, I just saw something pop up on my screen. But yeah, they basically take it because of their belief system. They don't believe everything else that they hear. And if there's somebody that finds that's listening to this right now that finds that disturbing, or that finds that, oh, that conflicts with what I'm hearing from my favorite politician, all I would invite you to do is take a very close look at the Church of Scientology in the way that they treat anyone outside of the Church of Scientology belief system, and anyone that's associated with the world, and anything that debunks their belief system. They're immediately basically excommunicated, and church members are shunned to stay away from those people. So you've got to sit there and take a step back and say, listen, I think the Church of Scientology is full of shit, but I'm hearing similar stuff from my politician that
Right.
I voted for, that shares my belief system. You should back up and take a look at that, because anybody that tells you everyone else is lying to you and I am the only source of truth, just, just get ready, because the bullshit is coming.
Some of you have got to have had some ex-boyfriend girlfriends that, basically said the same thing. And I want to point out that L. Ron Hubbard was a fucking genius. The Church of Scientology is in complete shit. We're all going to be, sued here soon for this. But I love it, because it's kind of how I feel about all religion. And L. Ron Hubbard put in one of his books back, I think in the 50s, he said that if you want to rule the world or rule people's minds, create your own religion. And the son of a bitch did it. And I've got no hate for him for what he did. Right. Good on you. But I think that I think
politics is the new religion.
Amen. That reminds me, I need to catch up on American Gods. That's also a phenomenal show, and that comment actually fits with it perfectly. But I got not into it, but I like to debate, right? And Doug and Adam both know that. I love to debate. I love to discuss, because I think it can bring out some really awesome conversation. What I cannot tolerate is when two adults effectively take the role of two children screaming at each other, saying, uh-huh, uh-huh, that fucking drives me nuts. And I made a comment the other day in regards to, I am doing the social distancing and all that. I am trying to do it to flatten the curve. I do believe in all of that, because I have a brain, and it's, I made a comment to that, and I said, the fact that you can see what is happening or happened in Italy, right? And they've got the number 2 rated healthcare system in the world, right behind France, I think it was.
Yep.
The
France
U.S.
is
for
number 1,
comparison,
Italy is number 2.
The U.S. for comparison, if I remember correctly, was 27th, maybe 37th.
37th.
Was it 37th? Yeah, I think Guam or somebody was above us or something.
Costa Rica.
Costa Rica, that's it, right? So and I made that comment, and someone immediately was pissed off. They're like, "That's bullshit. New York's got all the respirators they need and all that." And I don't think I even mentioned New York. It was funny to watch them go after New York. And then I said, okay, well, where are you getting your information that they've got enough? Jared
Kushner.
That
That's all he's been saying.
Equipment.
He's been like, New York has all the equipment they need, and everyone's like, no one asked. He's like, we're not giving them any more ventilators. They have enough.
Yeah,
I did my own math.
I did my own math, and
that's what he said. The medical professional said, dude, they don't have enough. And he said, I did the calculations on my own. They totally have enough. We're not giving them any more.
See, and that I'm the type that I see things and I hear things and I input that information and I try to make a decision off of it. But at no point do I ever say, or I try real hard not to say, I guess I do it sometimes, but I try real hard never to say, this is an absolute, this is exactly how it is, this is not, because too many times in my life, I have held on to something like that I thought was very true and very real. And then at some point was corrected, sometimes painfully.
Because it was a belief.
Because it was a belief, right? I mean, so the guy goes on, and I said, well, where are you getting your information? And he's like, you could just find it on Google. Well, okay, I found the information that I presented via web searches. Okay, so I found my information from basically kind of the same place that you're telling me to go find yours.
Find the time cube on Google.
The time cube?
Oh, God. That's going to have to be a whole nother podcast, dude.
Okay.
The time cube.
Okay.
There's this guy, and he was clearly like mentally fucked up. But for some reason, like colleges kept letting him come talk.
Mm-hmm.
And he was trying to say that the time cube was this theory that he had that really one day was actually 4 days, because time is a cube with 4 sides, even though a cube has 6 sides, with 4 sides. So really one day was 4 days, and the government was keeping this from you to waste 3/4 of your time.
Okay, yeah, I'll look that up at some point. So
that's fucked up. But to that end, they've done experiments where they take people, lock them in the rooms, give them no sense of time, take any watch that they may have, take the clock, take everything. And, it's like the lights don't turn off, whether it's day or night, and people start losing their fucking mind.
Mm-hmm. Our circadian rhythm gets, we have it. It's been around for millions of years because the sun rises and the sun sets, and humans, mammals, crustacean, I don't know, have all kind of, wrapped into that. And, but what's interesting is that this guy, he just could not believe the idea that Italy, that some other country has a better anything than the United States, just did not compute with this guy. I'm all about, being proud of your country, not necessarily nationalism, but being proud of your country and where you live, because you should.
Italians were huge on that at one time. It was called fascism.
Yeah, no shit.
Duce.
But they've got one of the top, medical infrastructures, and it was starting to break. It was Boeing, right? I called New York when this all started. I thought, man, if any place gets hit in this country, it's going to be NY. And of course it absolutely has, right? So, but it was interesting because I said, okay, well, the way a debate works is that I provide some facts and then you provide some facts.
But you can't debate beliefs because they're not based in fact.
And that fact, irony, was beaten into my head when everything that this guy sent me were basically quotes from Trump. Every single one of them. And I'm not going to get into, I don't think I've liked a single president since I've been old enough to vote. So it's not that I'm a Trump basher, because like Doug, I'm an independent. I don't go, I don't fall on either side of that line. But again, it goes back to what Doug was saying about, believe me, I am the only source of truth. That should be dangerous. You should immediately question that. And
this
whole
thing, he's as opposed to where we're used to, and you can go back in history, at least as far as I've been alive. And for the most part, you've got some people like Nixon and a few other things, but for the most part, when the shit hit the fan, the president's job was to get in front of the American people on a primetime address and point out and say, listen, this is what's going on right now, and this is what we're doing about it. And, there may be some stuff that didn't need to be released to the public. There may have been some embellishments in there. But never before have I seen the president function as a fucking hype man in the middle of any sort of crisis. I mean, it's almost like we have a Flavor Flav type character that's up there. Yeah, boy, this coronavirus is going down. We're going to be in church by Easter. Yeah.
It's almost like we took a reality show host and made him the president. Almost. It's
almost, right? Yeah. Jerry Springer, 2020. Fuck, why not? I mean, at this point, Hector
Kanye fucking West would probably do a better job.
Hector Camacho, damn it, I can't remember his full name from Idiocracy. I love Terry Crews. I'm a Terry Crews fan. I'll watch anything he's in. He amuses the living daylights out of me. And that, it's got what plants crave. So I love it.
It's got electrolytes.
That circular fucking logic is so British. Like, that's basically how Monty Python works. You just talk in circles for 20 minutes. It's got what plants crave. Electrolytes. What is that? Well, it's what plants crave.
It did. Hey, it worked for the guys in Monty Python too. So, also a big fan of Monty Python by no, stretch of the imagination, right?
Monty Python greater than Mel Brooks. I said it.
Ooh.
I said it. That's right. That's right.
That's tough, but I'm going to
agree with you.
I'm going to agree with you.
It's all subjective stuff.
It is subjective. It is. I don't disagree.
But
I'm going to agree with Adam on that one.
Relative, but yeah.
If I had to, right, if you said one of these can no longer exist in your memory, you gotta wipe it out. Either everything you've ever seen from Monty Python or stolen from them, or Mel Brooks. But God, I quote Spaceballs a lot too. So my favorite band, We Ain't Found Shit. That's one of my favorites.
That's who we've got doing coronavirus tests right now.
the two black dudes in the desert from Spaceballs.
Yeah, we ain't found shit.
And I don't know why that clicked in my head, but Fauci, is that his name?
Dr. Anthony Fauci.
I like the guy, right? Yeah. I really do. And there's very few people like that.
Bullshit.
He really is. And he's been doing this, I think I read, since Reagan. I think that's when he started the position that he's in was around Reagan. So he's done this a time or two, but that's what I like about him. He's just real straightforward. He doesn't bullshit. I saw the interview he did where they were asking him about preparedness.
That's how the rest of government is supposed to function. See, what you're supposed to have is you're supposed to have a guy at the top that you don't leave in place for too long so he can't turn around and totally become Vladimir Putin or whatever.
Hey, Vladimir Putin is voted for every single year. All right?
Yeah, sure he is. Voted. That's cute. Did you do air quotes? Because voted like that?
Yeah, Scientology and the KGB. We are batting 1,000.
That's all right if one of us dies from polonium poisoning or something.
Right? It'll be total coincidence, I'm sure. Little ricine.
There's polonium all over the place in Denver. Doug probably just licked something he wasn't supposed to.
What are you doing with the tip of that umbrella, sir? Prick. Ow! I don't feel well. Yeah, it's. I like Fauci. I do. I like the way he presents information. Like I said, they were talking about preparedness, and he's just like, "No, we weren't," and that is a shortcome.
Fauci was talking about the ventilator problem in New York, and that was when Kushner decided he did the math better than Fauci, and that they actually have enough ventilators.
This is why I hate politicians, because politicians put their own spin on shit. That's
don't we all though? I mean, doesn't everybody kind of put their own narrative on
right? Everything? Well, I mean, it's impossible to have a totally apolitical opinion, however you'd want to call it, but when it's very obvious bias. And the way you're supposed to have all of the departments in government function, because politics in America is a pendulum swing.
Oh yeah.
We don't like this shit. Now we're going to the other side. Okay.
Yeah.
We tried the other side. Now we're going back to the other shit. And it constantly goes that way. And the way most of government is supposed to function, you have people like the Atomic Energy Commission, the Department of Energy, the State Department, Parks and Rec, Social Security Administration, IRS. They're all supposed to be apolitical entities because you've got a constant change of leadership at the top, but it's not like everyone in all of these departments simultaneously get fired every time a new administration comes in.
Right.
The way that it's supposed to work, and I'm going to say that again. The way it's supposed to work is you have all of these government agencies that are managing the day-to-day business of the United States, and there is continuity there. You've got people that have, 10, 20, 30, 40 years of experience, and they're very, very good at what they do. And they really, by and large, don't give a fuck who the boss is at the very top of this whole pyramid, just as long as they're left alone to manage the day-to-day things that they do very well. Where politics gets all muddy is when you start to see a flush of these entities and you start to see cronies put in place to put their political spin on other bullshit because it's terribly inconvenient.
But we're draining the swamp, Doug. We're getting rid of all of that. That has all been gotten rid of, and only people that are qualified are being put in charge of things like, I don't know, the EPA,
the Department of Education.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know where you're going with that, man. I don't know.
Yeah. And that's what's bothered me the most about the current administration is the abandonment of facts, the getting rid of career people who, by and large, do a great job at doing specifically what they do, but you flush them because they're not constantly singing songs about how much they love kissing your ass, and
well,
that's bothersome to me. And when you have a cult of personality, ego-driven anyone up at the top, regardless if it's Republican, Democrat, Communist, Libertarian, frog, llama, monkey,
fuck
dog.
llamas, dude. Llamas are fucking evil. Llamas are evil, and you know this. Fuck
Yes.
a llama.
Yeah, fuck llamas.
So one of the things that many moons ago, well over 20 years ago, my first wife and I were, first ex-wife and I, that's fun, were on welfare, right? And I am a huge fan. I love the fact that I live in a country that can create a welfare system and take care of people who have trouble taking care of themselves. Now, and we'll go off on another episode someday about how fucked up the welfare system is. But I come from a blue collar family. I am a proud person. I work. I like to work. I like having that feeling of accomplishment and of contributing something, right? So that did not bode well for me. I used one of the benefits was to go get a certificate in something. I chose to get my Class A CDL. Basically, I can drive semis, right? 80,000 pounds of nonsense with me behind the wheel seems a little bit dangerous, doesn't it? Yeah. So, and I got a job, and we attempted to get off of welfare. And the reason that I say attempted is because they kept calling us, sending us nasty grams. They continued to send us, food stamps at the time. Now they got the card, EBT card, but it was food stamps back then, which people would sell like $100 of food stamps for $50 of cash.
That's why it's a card now.
I'm sure, right? So when I would contact these folks, and I'd be very polite about, well, hey, look, we've got jobs. What do we need to do to kind of end our benefits and all that, because we don't need to do it anymore. We're very thankful, etc. And they're like, you need to come down here and do this thing to keep getting your benefits. And we're like, no, stop, listen. So, because at the time my ex had just gotten a job as a CNA. I was driving truck. I think I was driving dump truck at the time. And we were doing okay, but they had these things we needed to fulfill, to keep getting our benefits, and we couldn't make it because we were at work. And it was bizarre to me. But what it made me realize is that these people have no vested interest. You want to complain about the welfare system. You want to complain how broken it is. And you wouldn't be wrong. I would agree with you. You've got to look at the people running it, because as long as there is a massive number, as long as there's work to be done, you can justify your budget. You can justify your paycheck. And so these government agencies that you're speaking of that have become as silly and corrupt as they have, a lot of it is internal, right? It wasn't, like you said, it wasn't the Democrat or the Republican up at the top. It was the way that these systems were left to go. And again, I'm a statist. I just learned that term over probably the last year. I believe the states should be allowed to kind of run things the way they do. And the ones that are successful, and the ones that aren't. And then the Fed should just have protect the states, keep us from fighting with each other and dumb shit like that. But like the Department of Education, why the fuck do we need a federal Department of Education, especially when we rank where we do nationally against the world where we do? You have failed, right? Obviously you have failed. Everything that you have done has failed, period, except
you got to have a federal Department of Education so that when you move from North Carolina to South Carolina, you don't go back 7 grades.
Hey, then tell your folks don't move to fucking South Carolina. It's real easy, right?
Yeah, that's not the way that shit works.
If you don't like the way a company
just
runs,
don't move there.
You don't use them. Just don't go there, right? But the thing is what the feds have done. They haven't improved it across the board, right? If anything, they've probably created a lowest common denominator. And
no child left behind.
Yeah, about that.
No child left behind. Well, I know all about that. Don't worry.
Right?
I have educators in the family.
And it's not, for me, it's not a liberal versus conservative thing. Funny that a person, Brandi Love, who I'm sure both of you know who that is.
Who's that?
She's an adult film star. She's incredible.
Oh, really?
That's where I remember that name from.
And I believe she's a Trump supporter, and some people,
you just do Control H, you'll find it.
Yeah,
Control H.
Don't type P into the browser. Don't type P into the browser. She made a comment. She had to say something on her Instagram. Yes, I follow Brandi Love on Instagram. And she said, listen, I think I need to step up here and say something, because people were bashing her for, being a Trump fan or whatever. And it's like, look, dude, I watch her because she's hot and does creepy sexual things that I find interesting. I don't really give a shit what her politics are, right? And that's not to be dismissive. I just don't care. I don't care what a lot of people's politics are. But she made a comment about that she is socially liberal and I think like fiscally conservative, or basically what she was saying is that, and I kind of subscribe to this myself, that the way you live your life and the way that you do things, she's very liberal, right? I mean, you kind of have to be, if you were an adult film star, to be a little liberal about how you choose to use your own body and display yourself, etc. And good for them, right? They should. It is theirs. But that her politics were a little more conservative. And I started thinking about that because I kind of fall into the same place, right? What you do, how you live your life, whether or not you do drugs or drink or have sex with a lot of people or have sex with goats or llamas or whatever you want to do, feel free, right? I don't care. As long as you're not hurting anybody, you do you. Let your freak flag fly and do it fucking proudly. I've had people say, are you gay? Dude, if I were gay, the whole goddamn planet would know it. Okay. I'd be out there, man. Right. There'd be no closet that could hold me, because it's who
our
you are.
lives would be so much simpler.
Oh God. If we were gay. Yeah, I know. We've discussed this ad nauseum. The fact is that is how I see things. Socially, I am very liberal. Do you, right? But my politics, I guess I am a little more in my politics is more regarding like military spending, but that's about it. Right. I'm conservative about my spending. Why are we spending money on this? Right. I don't understand the point. And then military, there are a lot of people that fucking hate the United States, maybe for good reason, maybe not for good reason. It doesn't matter. But when you are a superpower, you've got people that are going to fucking hate you. And I am very much a proponent of the talk softly and carry a big stick. Right. So I'm fine. And people say, oh, so you're okay with them spending $1,200 on a toilet? I don't believe they actually spent $1,200 on a toilet. I think that's just a real convenient way to, siphon money into a creepy missile program. But
oh yeah, there was a CIA guy on Joe Rogan talking about, everyone knows about the $10,000 coffee mug.
Right. And it's like anybody who truly believes that we paid $10,000 for a coffee mug is living under a rock. No, we spent 89 cents on the coffee mug, and 9,000, whatever the math would be on that, went towards black ops programs and things like that. I know we have black ops programs. I know we're sniping motherfuckers with drones and shit like that. And no, I don't care, right? Because the fact is that if given the opportunity, these folks would do the same thing to us in droves, right? No, I don't think that it's okay to kill innocents. And I do believe that civilian casualties should be, limited, reduced as much as humanly possible. But there are a lot of bad people out there, and maybe sometimes we're one of them. I don't know. Right. But yeah, so my spending, I want to be conservative. My military, I want to be big. But then what you do with your life beyond that, I don't give a fuck, basically. Thank you, Brandi.
The only problem with the way that we're conducting foreign policy now, and have largely been doing so since, for a long time, but primarily since George Bush, Barack Obama, and here most recently, obviously, President Trump. Now, we have a drone program where we operate on foreign soil. So what traditionally in the past, everything's been about the Geneva Convention. There's a lot of stuff still going on to that. And I've no idea what you two fuckers are snickering about.
Just look at chat.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I'm sending funny pictures and submitting names for this week's podcast.
Oh, God. But regardless, there is a very strong possibility, and this has been put forth by basically everybody since September 11th, and then when we started the drone strike program, and outside the theater of war, because obviously if we go into a country, occupy a country, we're engaging in warfare there. But what can come back to haunt us is right now we've sort of got the best drones in the world. That's only going to last so long. Even Kalashnikov, the people that came up with the infamous AK-47, they have come up with a drone, and if you guys haven't seen it yet, it's a decent flick. You can watch Angel Has Fallen. And
I haven't seen that yet, I don't think. This one with Gerard Butler. All that.
Right. And Morgan Freeman is the president or whatever. And
Morgan Freeman is God, literally.
Oh, yeah. But anyway, so in one of the beginning scenes of the movie, what someone has done is they have taken a fleet of exploding drones. And these exploding drones came in a fucking swarm. I mean, it was like a flock of birds. And they basically blew up everybody in the Secret Service, came damn close to killing the president, the whole 9 yards. And
how did they figure out who was in the Secret Service?
Literally, they had these things. Now they had these things hooked into a laptop running a facial recognition program, and it would target people and go, "Oh yeah, there's Bob." Boom.
But it's supposed to be a secret.
The Secret Service.
Yeah, it
Damn
doesn't
it!
sound very secret.
There's holes in this movie. There's holes in this movie.
Yeah,
Okay.
I already think
but
this
at the
is
same
not a
time,
documentary.
But you know,
with
go
those
ahead.
Kalashnikov drones, it wouldn't take a terribly smart individual to tie that into a facial recognition program. These are the targets that I'm looking for, and where I'm going with this is we're not the only one with drones. And those
No.
Kalashnikov drones, that they basically priced them that they could build them for a few $100 a piece. So yeah, we've got the big ones that can fly around tens of thousands of feet and take people out from God knows where. They're pretty awesome. We've got ones that can do stealth, but if you've got the wrong group with a couple of $100,
Yeah.
those policies. I mean, you could even be dealing with some smaller country like Qatar, or I don't think Qatar's got anything against us now.
Now, give us time.
You could take some of these places and they go, oh, well, we have this political interest that we don't like you guys being in this particular region. We're going to go out and buy 40,000 of these Kalashnikov drones because we can do that for under $1 million. Well,
Yeah.
no, that would be over $1 million. But let's say $2 million, and yeah, we dare you, send people over here or oppose us. Yeah, we're just going to send in these 10,000 drones and wipe out your entire fucking army.
And the thing is that everything, I haven't seen Angel Has Fallen. I know the kind of the premise because in the trailer they actually show the drones and everything, right? And I was going to mention that all of that stuff. I'm a big science fiction nerd and love sci-fi, and I grew up on B movies, right? They were easier to come by, find them on HBO and stuff like that. And some of the best sci-fi movies I've ever seen have been low budget, but with incredible plots, and they never make it to kind of an A budget because they're just too intelligent for the masses, right? And people are dumb and they want dumb movies. But the B movies always tend to put the story over the special effects and things. And the point is that a lot of the things that I see coming to fruition now, all the way to like iPads and stuff, started in sci-fi 20 years ago. The captain would hand the first mate a piece of acrylic, and they'd touch it a couple of times and be like, yeah, go on, do your thing. Okay, find a movie, asshole. Come on, find it. Yeah. You found B movie. Now find a movie. And but the point is that nothing that you just mentioned about facial recognition and explosives and all that is out of the realm of possibility, right? We have facial recognition. We have the drones. You've got the explosive capability. And there's no telling if the U.S. has anything like that or not versus the big drones that we're privy to, because I think that a lot of governments do the, hey, look over here scenario, or so yeah, none of that is really far-fetched, and I think that's the scary part. Skynet is definitely in its beginning phases.
That Angel Has Fallen movie sounds kind of like the Black Mirror episode where they have the artificial bees.
Mm-hmm.
And this hacker figures out how to remote control them because they're tied into the internet.
And again,
turns them into fucking killer bees and has people vote on Twitter on who dies.
Give it time, man.
It's fucking awesome.
Give it time. I never got into Black Mirror. Nothing against it. Just my brain is fucked up enough. Like the shit that goes on, the intrusive thoughts and things that I have.
Yeah.
The last thing I need is to see someone else's intrusive thoughts set to screenplay.
It's like Twilight Zone, but modern. It's pretty cool. I like it.
Twilight Zone, can still fuck with me from time to time. There's a classic episode, and I can't remember what it is, but this guy he just wants to sit and read, right? And
he breaks his glasses.
Yes. And then at the end of the or towards the middle or end of the episode, like everybody's frozen or something like that, like time
Yeah,
stops. Maybe that's it.
except
Maybe
for
he
him.
finds a device that stops time, and he's just like, "Oh, this is great! I have all this time to read." Da 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 da. And somehow that device gets malfunctions or whatever, and he can't start time. And then he breaks his reading glasses. Right, so he's stuck in this.
There was time now.
Yeah, there
There
was
was time.
time, but he didn't have the ability. Even some of that shit, it'll send a chill down my spine. I'm like, no, I didn't need to watch that. Tales from the Dark Side was also one of my favorites back in the day.
I never watched that.
Friday nights or Saturday, maybe it was Saturday nights. They would do Twilight Zone and Tales from the Dark Side. Just they did the negative of a forest. You know, like they'd do stuff and then they'd turn it into the negative. Like that was the big scary thing. Which Gears of War character was that, Doug?
Oh, that's JD.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah,
Fuck yeah.
that's
You bought
pre.
that one for me. Yeah.
I buy gifts for people and forget. Apparently, I guess it's not everybody. Linear television. I remember when there was a time when you like had to be at a place at a time to see a thing, and I saw a meme or a joke about I feel bad for kids never getting to live with that whole hurry up, it's coming back on, and this is an old man thing to say, but life was a lot simpler 30 years ago. I mean, for as complicated as things were, and there was a lot going on in the world, and when you're younger, being a kid was awesome because you had no fucking responsibilities except to know where your GI Joes were and etc. But the world has we've gotten more technologically advanced. We're more connected, quote unquote. And I saw another thing that said something about we always thought that ignorance came from a lack of knowledge, right? And we have proven that that's not the case, right? We have absolutely proven that's not the case. I am not in 1987, you fuckers.
Yes, you are. You're stuck in 1987.
I said life was simpler.
Behind the scenes chat.
Right. I do think things were simpler, but just like with music, you see people all the time where all they'll listen to is shit they listened to 20 years ago, right? And that's very odd to me. I don't listen to a lot of that stuff anymore. Well, for one, it kind of brings up memories, right? That's the one thing about music is like if I listen to Nine Inch Nails' Pretty Hate Machine, I am transported back to like 92, 93 and where I was at in my life. And it's just like, wow, that's overwhelming. I can't think about that right now. Still love some of the songs, still listen to them.
Yeah, I had a pretty traumatic experience, and I was listening to this fucking album. It's a really good Kendrick Lamar album. Mm-hmm. But now I can't fucking listen to it. It fucking sucks ass. It's so good. I ruined it. I'm like, now if I'm having a bad time, don't listen to fucking anything.
Right, because you don't want to associate them. They talk about how smell is one of the most powerful senses for that, as far as recollection. And for me, I think music is if smell is number one, which they're probably right. Number two is definitely music. Man, there are songs. My first divorce, the Disturbed album "Believe," got me through that divorce. Right, but now it's hard for that, and Stains "Break the Cycle." I have a hard time listening to either one of those albums because of the memories that it brings back. I'm always looking for new music though. I kind of have a voracious appetite for music, and I want to hear the newest thing. And I have found some great bands. That's how I found Bullet for My Valentine. At the time I was in my 30s and late 30s, and these kids are 20 fucking years old, but they're writing awesome fucking metal, right?
Yeah.
And but that's how I do. I found a band recently, Light the Torch, one of the singers from Killswitch Engage. Didn't even know that he did another album or was in another band or anything, and it's become an absolute favorite of mine lately. So there's this thing where people, I appreciate the past. I do. I appreciate what I've been through and what I've seen, and I appreciate the simpler times and some of the comforts that I've forgotten about. But I don't want to live in the past. Right? I'm more of a I have anxiety. I worry about the future. The past has already fucked me. I'm not,
For a lot of people, their childhood was like actually good, I guess.
Fair
Seems kind of
enough.
weird, but
Fair enough.
they want to relive those memories because now their life sucks ass.
You're not
But
wrong.
for
Yeah.
me, like, now is definitely better than when I was a kid.
Right. Same. And that, so I think you probably hit the nail on the head with that one, is that people who, I don't think it goes for everybody. I've got somebody in mind that I know their childhood was fairly tumultuous, but I think for the most part, you're right. If you had that great kind of 80s kids movie growing up where everything was great.
Goonies!
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking of. And Stand By Me, and the 80s were great for that.
I want me
that
to do the
kid
truffle
comedy.
shuffle for you.
No, Doug. No.
No, I don't. All right, so
Oh,
this
come
is
on.
the
No
last.
truffle shuffle?
This is the last podcast we ever do, because I am scarred now. No, I don't want to.
Oh,
See you
guys.
half naked.
So Bill Withers died, right?
Yeah, ain't no sunshine when he's gone at all.
So he's from Slab Fork, West Virginia.
Okay.
That's like 2 miles from where my parents grew up, and it's like 3 houses.
I was going to say it's probably a nothing, right?
It's a curve.
Okay.
You go down the road and you come around Slab Fork, which is this curve that everyone wrecked their fucking car on because it's sharper than it looks. And there's like 3 houses down in the bottom, and that's the entire town.
There are some towns in Ohio that are like that. Very, very similar. Like you said, come around. If you blink, literally, if you blink, you miss it. That's fucked up. Yeah, I am a huge. I actually, funny enough, I did not know that he sang "Stand by Me."
And Lean on Me.
Lean on Me. I'm sorry, I said "Stand by Me." Lean on Me. I actually did not know that was Bill Withers, and I considered myself a Bill Withers fan, but really for me, if he did nothing else in his life but write, record, and perform "Ain't No Sunshine," he would have contributed everything he needed to society. That is a phenomenal song. I hear Shadow getting restless in the back there, Doug.
Yeah, he's ready for some loving. So
Lovins, Shadow.
Give him a mic,
right?
Get him on here.
We're gonna do a dog podcast. Yeah, right, Doug. Best neighbor ever.
Yeah, he doesn't bark much, but
he is a hound dog, though. I mean, that kind of comes natural. So that's about all I got. I got nothing else to bitch about. You got anything else to bitch about, Doug?
Other than if there's anybody listening to this podcast that's considering like taking hydroxychloroquine outside of a doctor's usage, I would highly recommend against it. It's one of those medicines that it sort of works by being poisonous, and they give you just the right amount. That way it doesn't.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Sort of like chemo. Chemo is effectively poison and is trying to stop cells from reproducing.
It sounds like a recreational drug. It's poisonous, but not if you take just a little bit.
Just enough.
Right? Yeah. Well, they used to use strychnine for the same reason. That'll fucking kill you dead too.
Yeah. So, the whole idea.
Drink fish tank cleaner.
Yeah. The whole idea of that is, it worked. It may have possibly worked in a couple of people. So the fact that they're not doing it everywhere is a conspiracy. It's like, guys, think about that for a second. Just like you said with chemo, right?
Right now, considering the timing, that's used to treat a variety of sort of autoimmune disorders.
Okay.
Like lupus. Lupus is the biggest one. So as soon as that was put out in the media, you've got people who have conditions like lupus who will die without the drug, who are basically being told that, yeah, we can't fill your prescription because, somebody else may be sick.
Okay.
It's like you have people that will die without this drug who, they're being told that, no, we're going to have to use this for COVID-19 patients.
This has been a huge social experiment, right? And I mentioned earlier in the episode about panic light. And what I mean by that is that this isn't as serious as something could be, right? I'm not saying it's not serious. I'm not, saying I'm not dismissing anything. I'm stating that this is not as serious as it could be. And the amount of panic that I have seen and the hoarding and the toilet paper, that's all I got to say, is overwhelming, right? And it's more people in mass, their reaction to all of this is much more terrifying to me than the virus and the people that have died from it. Again, sympathy to them and their families, and I mean that very genuinely. But the
people
things
stocked up on fucking ammo, and that's all I have to say about that.
Some people did, yes, and I understand why they did it. Because it made you realize real quick how, again, social media influence. I saw a meme about or a tweet about this is, look at the way people are reacting over this, and you understand why the government never told us about the aliens. If there were aliens, or hell, if you had a good EMP pulse from the sun, a nice little solar flare that cooked half the planet, I can't even imagine the ridiculousness that would ensue in most places. And it's petrifying. But I do very much believe, I've made the comment that I do believe that I don't believe this is a conspiracy or a lot of people are pushing the whole that COVID is weaponized. Yeah, weaponized and everything. And it would be, based on what I've seen, it would be a pretty decent weaponized strain. People say, well, it's not killing people fast enough. Well, if you do that, you kill all your hosts and it doesn't spread. But you don't want it to be too weak, because then it doesn't create enough havoc. So could it have been, military grade? Yeah, absolutely. I'm a bit of a conspiracy theorist. And again, I try never to say never, never say always.
Well, China would tell us if they made it.
They're a very open group, those folk.
Yes.
Yeah, very, very open.
Basically, everything they do is open source.
Right, open source. Yeah, right.
I'm going to go with the outbreak argument on that one.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's got everybody confused there for a second. If it's
Morgan
Netflix,
Freeman,
by the way.
Right.
Yeah, another one.
Morgan Freeman, 7 Degrees of Morgan Freeman.
Yeah. So in that they had the two strains of the Motaba virus.
Motaba.
And right.
Motaba.
And the
Spoiler
one
alert, it was
that
Ebola.
yeah. The one that they had weaponized, they had already developed a serum to treat people with. So if there had been someone that had genetically engineered this, unless they just genetically engineered it and then turned it loose in the wild, which would be highly improbable because you would not want a biological weapon floating around that you didn't have stockpiles of shit to protect at least the important people with.
But we haven't seen any U.S. politicians or their families report that they have had a fatality. So a fatality from Rand Paul. Yeah, because Rand Paul's real popular in the old Illuminati
he's high up
these days.
He's high up.
Oh, yeah.
He's basically the leader.
Yeah, right. So again, I think that, and going back to that, to your point, it very well could have been. I just don't personally believe that it was, and I don't. And there's, if nothing else, there's not enough evidence to show that there was, right?
But there's no evidence that it's not.
But it's not. You're absolutely right, and that's the way my brain works. So, but what
Adam's full of shit. Read the news anywhere on the subject.
Fake news, mainstream media. Let me just
send
you this tweet. Let me send you this tweet.
It's the only source of truth.
Right. Please don't believe anybody but me, guys. I don't want you to get hurt. I actually posted a song to Facebook earlier, "Liar" by Henry Rollins. And it's been forever since I've heard that song, right?
I love that song.
That really just kind of clicked when you said that about, I promise I won't lie to you again. You can trust me this time. But I do believe, so while I'm not going to go full conspiracy tinfoil hat wearing guy and say that this was, engineered by the government, the Illuminati, whoever. But I do believe that entities like the Department of Justice and Homeland Security, hell, KGB, everybody, they are definitely watching what I am referring to as the human herd management experiment, right? The amount of people that are, I've seen people say, well, you shouldn't be going out because we're on house arrest and da 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 da. And at first you think they're kidding and realize, no, they truly believe they're not allowed to leave their home for anything. Guys, this is not martial law, right? That's a completely different thing. And you notice they didn't pull the trigger on that. This is sort of a voluntary suggestion, short of, certain parks and, things like that are legally shut down. But again, I go back to the people that are crying for stricter policies and how we need to close everything down and let the government take care of this. And believe me, there are those people that are taking a lot of interest in that mentality and that thought process.
Yeah, even if it's not intentional, they're definitely taking this as an opportunity to learn.
I would think so. I can't believe that they're not. I know I would if that was my industry, if that's what I did.
Yeah.
I think every industry is going to watch and have people that analyze the data, from the, Charmin manufacturers to the telecoms, watching what bandwidth can do when everybody's at home. So there's a very wide swath of information that can be gleaned from this. As somebody that, wanted to go into the field of sociology and psychology a long, long time ago, I find it fascinating, the shit that I'm reading. It's devastating and it's terrifying, but I read something, a guy said, never let a good catastrophe go to waste. Learn from it, if nothing else. Make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. But if you don't learn from it, you've kind of let it go to waste.
I think we'll come out a lot different from this on the other side. One of if I remember right, and I don't remember the disease specifically, around, and we had mentioned South Korea earlier. South Korea had a disease pop out. I can't remember if it was a strain of SARS or what it was, but they had something back in 2015. And that's why they were a lot better prepared for it the next time around. So I think that for the United States, this is going to be, while it's not the same, I'm using this in reference to culture shift of government, people, everything else. I think we're going to have this is going to be our 9/11 moment, to where people realize this shit is real.
Yeah.
There are dangers, and we will be better prepared for the next one.
You'd hope, right?
Yeah.
I'd like to think that the American people, at least, if the government doesn't, that the American people will stop and realize that everything that you kind of, a lot of what people rely on is a construct. And I think this has shown people just how fragile a lot of those constructs are. Things like law and order and food delivery and rights and all of that stuff. It's very fragile, and it can crumble away very quickly because of some random molecules running around making people ill. And again, this isn't even as serious as it could be. Well, so you'd like to think that people have learned from it.
I hate to be the one that says this, but since we've genetically sequenced this thing, we know how it's built. Whenever a new virus is identified like this, they don't necessarily rely on samples to be shipped from A to B. They can turn around and create a copy of a virus in a lab.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you have somebody who is well enough educated in such things, you can flip this gene here, flip that gene there.
CRISPR action.
Yep. Flip a couple of genes, and you could realistically have someone that takes something that's as contagious as the coronavirus and turns it into something much, much nastier.
Mm-hmm. You kind of chimera it and take the, how easily it spreads. You take that, gene from this one, and you can take a gene from Ebola, and you can take a gene from that. I personally believe that all of that still already exists deep underground somewhere, right? And The Stand may be more of a preface than a science fiction novel.
Adam, you got anything? You just going to sit there and shake your head?
Yeah. Going on.
I just agree that Stephen King caused the coronavirus.
Have you guys seen the tweet? And I don't know if the person was being a troll or what. I tend to, and I know this is unusual, I tend to research things when I see them on social media. And I saw this tweet where Stephen King stated, listen, the coronavirus is nothing like The Stand, because of course people were, comparing the two. And he's like, it's nothing like The Stand. It's not that bad, whatever. And someone replies to his tweet, what do you know? Have you even read it?
So that's a motherfucker with a belief right there.
And I thought this is bullshit. This is fake. I could have done this in Photoshop. So I bebop over to Stephen King's Twitter, and no, it is the top fucking tweet. It's, and of course underneath people are going, did he know that? And my thought is, this guy's got to be fake, right? This dude's bullshit and he's trolling, whatever. So I go and I start looking at this guy's profile, and if he is a troll, he is the king of trolls, because this dude just was dumb. And so I think it's real. I'm like, you don't know who Stephen King is? You're gonna reference The Stand?
He's probably getting scared because he had this book called Rage that he had to pull because it was basically Columbine, and then Columbine happened.
Oh, no shit.
And everyone basically kind of blamed him in a way because they said that he inspired it.
Is the devil.
The devil. The devil. That boy, the devil.
He's the devil.
Stephen King and Marilyn Manson. I didn't know that. Rage. I'm sure I've seen it. I was not a huge Stephen King fan. I have an incredible amount of respect for what he's done. And I have read The Stand. That's one of the few of his that I think the Tommy Knockers. Have you even read it? Have you even read it, bro?
Have you even read your own book?
The Tommy Knockers, and then he had the Bachman books, which is a collection of works when he wrote as something Bachman.
Richard Bachman.
Is it Richard Bachman? Yeah, and a couple of those stories were really good. Actually, you mentioned that Rage, and I have to wonder, there was a story in there about a guy who it kind of focuses on him like feeding squirrels or feeding crackers to squirrels or something, but it's about this rage in his head, and he basically like murders the fucking classroom and things like that, and of course snaps back.
It was a school shooting book.
Okay, I gotta wonder if
it didn't age very well.
Right? Yeah, about that. It's but I'm not a huge Stephen King fan. His son, whose pen name I cannot remember off the top of my head, has done some stuff that
it's like we don't have Google anymore.
The collective knowledge of the universe, right? He's done some stuff that I really liked and did not even know it was him. I looked up his name to see, like, what else has this guy done? I kind of like he's done a couple of things for Netflix, and I remember looking him up, and he's like as soon as I saw his picture, I was like, wait a minute. And he's like,
he also looks like a caveman.
Oh my God, dude. He's
Joe Hill.
That's it. Yeah.
I think he changed it because he didn't want to like ride his dad's coattails and shit.
Yeah, he's Joseph Hillstrom King.
That's it. Yeah. So he took Joseph Hill.
And he was born in 1972, Dan, and he's made something of his life. Doesn't that make you feel horrible?
1972. Trying to think of what it was that he.
Dan's made something of his life, Doug.
Well, I was born in 1974. I'm no Joe Hill either.
I'm not dead. I'm not in jail. I have no illegitimate children that I know of.
I've made a few attempts, but I don't think I've been successful.
Lock and Key. He wrote Lock and Key for it was a graphic novel, and then Netflix picked it up, and I liked it. It's geared towards teens, tweens, whatever. You got to take that into consideration, but it's really neat. And Horns, which had Daniel Radcliffe, also kind of neat. Nosferatu, which I haven't seen yet, but he did another one. One of the women from Lock and Key was in it, and it's very Stephen King-ish. There's this cornfield that kind of calls to people. I haven't seen it. Do you guys need me to unzip my pants?
Oh yeah, you're talking about Children of the Corn.
It was somewhat similar, yeah.
Yeah, it's Children of the Corn.
But he's definitely got his dad's sense of writing, and his face. No genes from his mother. I'm not sure what happened in the King basement, but I feel like
spit him out of his ass.
Speaking of some CRISPR action.
Probably wrote a book about it, since he writes 16 books a year or some ridiculous shit like that.
I mean, he's no Dean.
Have you guys seen that? Have you guys seen that Family Guy bit when he's writing Misery?
I mean, I'm sure I have. I've probably seen every Family Guy episode 10 times.
So he's walking down the snowy road, right? And this guy comes around the corner in this car and hits him, and he goes flying through the air. And while he's in the air, he's like, "Oh shit! I should write a book about this." And when he hits the ground, he's like, "All right, done."
I don't know how I can barely compose a decent, coherent email.
Well, here's the crazy thing about it. Stephen King had all of these pen names, where he did things like wrote The Green Mile and a bunch of other stuff. It was for him. You would think that, if he wanted to do something slightly different, he would put it out under another name so he didn't ruin his brand or some bullshit like that. No, the publishers were bitching because he was writing so many books. So he started writing the books under the Stephen King name for his main publisher. And then it was subterfuge for him to be able to turn around and put out, because the publishers were afraid he would saturate the market with his own works and undercut himself somehow. So just as a testament to Stephen King, he puts out books under other names because he's writing so many goddamn books, and they just fucking go off the charts too.
My new pen name is John Q. Baller, right? It reminded me when you said that about Green Mile, Shawshank, about the epic rap battles of history, where it's Stephen King, Edgar Allan Poe, and I think somebody else pops in, but it's Edgar Allan Poe and Stephen King, and he talks about being able to crank out a Shawshank or a Green Mile, and it like you said, it's a testament that the man can do what he does, and again, they're classics: Cujo, Christine. All of these, I don't hate on the guy. I don't particularly like his voice in novels. They don't flow well. So, but what he's done and the characters he's created, fuck the Shining. So
what's that?
It's a little movie you probably never heard of. Didn't really influence culture much. Red Rum, anything like that. So,
was that the one about the space launch, about the moon landing being fake?
Yes.
Okay,
no.
I thought so.
No.
Have you seen that? Have you seen the people think that that's a hidden confession from Kubrick that he faked the moon landing? Yeah, it's a thing.
No.
It's a thing. They made a documentary about it. It's on Netflix.
Oh, well, if they made a documentary, we know it's true, right? And accurate. And
well, it is true that people have that theory.
It is true that people have that theory. That is true. So you could write a documentary for that. So I don't.
All right, Doug. We'll wrap this up.
What's that?
The unabridged. Yes,
unabridged
this is the director's cut.
Hey, people like it. So, all right, real quick, I do want to tell people that we've got bullshirtpodcast.com. I don't remember how We all have emails there. I would be curious for people to hit us up with either questions, comments, or things that they want us to, talk about, bitch about, or, argue with us, debate with us. There's nothing that says that you can't. You can reach us at contact@bullshirtpodcast.com. We each have our own emails if you just want to send nude pics.
Just send those directly to Adam
no dick
at
pics.
Bullshirt
I was going to say
Podcast.
the dick
No
pics
dick
we're
pics.
about to get, rip inbox dick pics. So
That's fine.
it's like a fucking, hot dog. Never mind. Anyway, so yeah, you've got Adam at Bullshirt Podcast, Doug, Rich, Dan. Adam also does music. I think we've talked about that before under the Lester is Dead.
LesterIsDead.com. Check it out. It's the best.
Check it out.
It's hot fire.
I do stupid t-shirts at beardinthewind.com. Tend to be motorcycle inspired. Waiting. I've entered into a deal with a guy to make soap for me. Still waiting on that. So Doug, hoping to do some beard oils and things like that. So, used to have a pretty impressive beard and then got divorced, and those can be a little rough on your psyche and make you do weird shit like shave your fucking 2-year-old beard off.
Doug just pointed out that the Bullshirt Podcast.
Spears. She shaved off her hair on her head. You shaved it off on your face.
I've got no hair on my head anymore. Nature and genetics have taken care of that. What'd you say, Adam?
The website doesn't work.
The website doesn't work.
Yeah, Doug just pulled it up and it doesn't work.
God damn it.
I did the same thing. It doesn't work.
Oh, no.
Though I suppose by the time people are hearing this, we'll have it fixed, so it doesn't
say,
matter.
Right? But... Hopefully you'd like to. No, I'm going to leave it just for continuity.
Leave it broken.
Just right. Just so everyone can not hit it. Well, that's curious.
Gee, that's peculiar.
Please hold. We are experiencing technical difficulties. All right, yeah, I'll look that up. So hopefully by the time this gets put out, we can race now, Adam. Who can you can try. Of course, even if you put it out, no one will be able to tell because it's not on the website.
Bullshit.
Conundrum.
The pinecast.co works. Did you forward it?
I thought I did. So because Doug actually pointed out to me recently, because I crushed the Shopify store, I just felt like it was a cost we didn't need to spend right now because we don't have any merchandise to sell. That'd be another one. Let us know either comment wise or we have definitely jokingly created some mugs and some T-shirts and things like that with some of the stupid shit that we say on the podcast. So let us know if that's something you would like, and if vote. Let us know what you think would be funny on a mug or whatever. Sometimes we're funnier than others, but that would be great to know if people would be interested in that. But yeah, I did crush the Shopify store. It's $30 a month. I didn't feel we needed to pay. Doug noticed that it wasn't redirecting, so I fixed it, sent it to him, said, "Hey, it's fixed." He said, "Yep, I can go there now." Cool. So there could be something going on with the hosting provider. I've gotten some emails about other websites that I have that have been a little weird today, so I'll double check that. But yeah, I'd like to think I can get that fixed before you can get this up on Podcast. We'll see.
It'll be up in 2 hours.
Yeah,
so.
I can probably fix this in 2 hours. I don't know. Anyway, so again, when it's working, it's bullshirtpodcast.com, and we all have email there. Contact at birdshit podcast at
Well, this podcast is very white.
It is. We are a very Caucasian centric group. So
pasty crew.
Usually we've got we are pasty too. Usually we try to put a little coffee in our cream with Rich. He had some things he had to take care of today and couldn't be here. His for those of you that have been keeping up, his surgery was postponed, as you can imagine, because of the coronavirus stuff. He is slated to have surgery to repair a hole in his heart that caused him to have a stroke about a month or so ago. So he's good, and he has been on the podcast yammering since then, right? You've probably heard us make some jokes about his eyesight. He did lose peripheral vision in both of his eyes during the stroke. So I am sure he will have plenty to talk about after they go in and do that. So we'll get him set up and get him get him on here as soon as we can, and maybe one of these days we'll do this live again in Adam's spacious luxury apartment, or maybe we won't. Who knows? Maybe we'll just keep doing it like this if it works. We'll see. We'll see if the chemistry is off. So that's all I got. How about you two?
I'm good.
All right. Well, until next time, don't blindly swallow somebody's bullshit. Question it. So.
Adios, guys.